Hello everyone and welcome finally to a new edition once again of Makeup and Wrestling, the weekly show here on my channel where I do my makeup each week and I talk about AEW Dynamite. So let's get right into today's episode. So first of all, I want to say how much I've missed you guys. I've missed you so much. Come here. I need a hug. I know you do too. Alright, back away. Alright, it's getting a little weird. I understand. You need your personal space. I like my personal space too. So I'm going to make a quick little announcement that pertains to my absence and this channel. And if you don't want to listen to any of that, honey, you can skip this shit right here at this point in time. Or you could stay. I'm not judging you either way. So the main reason for my absence over the last month has honestly been because of my work. As all of you know, I'm a licensed cosmetologist, and for those of you who don't know, I recently started my own business and I'm working for myself doing hair, makeup, and waxing services full time. And with that comes a lot of responsibility and commitment on my part, pretty much 24/7. So even though I've actually filmed an episode for every single Dynamite that I've been gone for, I haven't had the time to edit it. I'm pretty much a one-woman show, and as honey, you can see, I'm clearly extremely low budget. I do everything for myself, by myself, from start to finish. And editing takes a lot of time for me, and it doesn't come naturally, so yeah, I just haven't had the time to sit down and put all these episodes together, but you know, it is what it is. Life happens. And honestly, I didn't want to leave you hanging, and because I have such a simple explanation for my absence, I thought I would share it with you. Again, as I've mentioned in my last couple of videos before this one, I do have some other content that I've either filmed or I'm going to film soon. When is that going to be posted? I don't know, honey, but you're going to see it. And to make sure you get the notification for that, I would suggest following me on Twitter, especially if you're a watcher of my YouTube channel. That's mostly where I go to update and discuss when I post new videos, what's going on with the upcoming video, and things like that. So that will be the best place to keep up with me and what I'm doing. Alright, so thank you so much for listening to this, and now let's get into the rest of the video. So for today's eye look, I will be using the ABH Sultry Eyeshadow Palette. I'm doing things a little differently this week. As with most weeks, I'm trying to find the most efficient way to produce this series. This week, we had the Winter is Coming show, which I've been really enjoying these pay-per-view type episodes of Dynamite. They're really interesting, and I feel like very refreshing for a promotion to do that and bring more viewership and not just be asking people for money, honey, all the time. Our show this week began with the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal. Now, I was very excited for this match, and my prediction for the winners of the Royal were honestly MJF and Matt Hardy. Those are the only two people that I would like to see hold the Dynamite Diamond. Everybody else I don't feel like fits the role. Matt Hardy, I would like to see hold it, especially because he's kind of going through like a little heel turn and becoming this iconic Matt Hardy character, so I think it would have been a great boost for this new persona. And you know, MJF and the Dynamite Diamond, they go together like peanut butter and jelly in my opinion. The first half of the match, it was just too much going on. Just too much going on. And that's pretty normal for Battle Royals. Everything is very fast paced. Nobody's really slowing down to take a pause or do anything like that. So in my opinion, pretty standard for the fair and for what I'm expecting. But it was just visually a lot. It's not like watching like a WWE Royal Rumble where there are a couple of people coming in at a time. It was almost like half of the people that were going to be in the Battle Royal came in first, or at least that's kind of how it seemed. Some people were just waiting on the outside to eliminate everybody, so it was almost like a free-for-all jump in. Now, one of the storyline consistencies that I did see from last week translating into this week was the Dark Order's support during the Battle Royal for Hangman Adam Page. There was a couple of moments where Hangman Adam Page almost got eliminated, and whatever members of the Dark Order that were hanging out outside of the ring, outside of the match, that were not a part of the match, or even if they were having his back. And I found that really interesting because I don't want Hangman Adam Page to join the Dark Order. We did see last week Evil Uno approach Hangman Adam Page and propose him joining the Dark Order, but right now we just had MJF and Wardlow join the Inner Circle. I don't want AEW to become the company that has everybody be in a faction. Factions can be a great thing and a necessary thing for certain storylines and performers, but not everybody needs to be in a faction, honey. Some people are better off alone. They're clearly alluding to either a feud or something's gonna go down between the Dark Order and Hangman. Like I mentioned, Matt Hardy was definitely a favorite of mine to win the match, and I felt like he did a really good job with starting to represent this new character and bring it more to our attention. I think heel Matt Hardy is great and highly underrated. He's at a later stage of his career, and honestly, he has nothing left to prove because I feel like he's already done everything. So at a point like this iconic Matt Hardy character is going to be something very cool, very refreshing, at least for him, and it's going to allow him to play on that heelish side, which again, he's very, very good at, but I don't feel like he has used it frequently enough throughout his career. Like, good guy Matt Hardy is great, but heel Matt Hardy is better. So to see him get eliminated later on in the night really kind of sucked, but I feel like he really was able, through the match and through his actions, to start elaborating more on what was essentially just a promo last week, kind of introducing us to this new side of Matt. For the majority of the match, Wardlow, MJF, and Sammy Guevara were pretty much like in one corner, hunkering down, and Wardlow's big bad self was right in front of both Sammy and MJF, just like sitting there like, what's up? You're not gonna come at me. So I thought that was very entertaining and funny. And in the last moments of the match, it ended up just being Miro, Jungle Boy Jack Perry, MJF, Wardlow, and Sammy Guevara. Now, towards the end moments of the match where there wasn't that many people, Sammy and MJF did chime in and start eliminating people. You know, they got up off their ass. Their biggest accomplishment, obviously, in the Battle Royal was the three of them eliminating Miro from the match, and it took a lot of people to eliminate him. So, honestly, out of everything that Miro has done so far in the company, this has probably been the match and the situation that's made him look the best. So, he definitely needs to get away from the silly shit. I do like him doing the silly shit, but honey, he needs to be a powerhouse and he needs to be AEW champion at some point. After Miro's elimination, it was pretty much the Inner Circle versus Jungle Boy. And how Jungle Boy ended up getting eliminated was in very shady circumstances because he was actually putting up a good showing against Sammy. They were having a very great back and forth. And at one point, Sammy was down and Jungle Boy went on the top rope to deliver a maneuver, but then Sammy got up quite quick and, of course, with his speed and agility, jumped to the top rope as well, and they were both on the very top turnbuckle. And at that point, MJF comes from the back and just pushes them both off, eliminating them. And I thought that was hilarious. Typical MJF fashion, like, I wasn't expecting anything more or anything less. Then after that, he started celebrating a little too early, but even I had failed to realize that Orange Cassidy was still in the match. And he was actually gone for most of the match because he was just outside just like, what's up, chilling as he tends to do. And the only person that had actually noticed this was Wardlow, and he's the one that alerted MJF to Orange Cassidy coming back in the ring. And through a crazy set of moves and circumstances, Orange Cassidy ends up eliminating Wardlow, and the winners of the match end up being Orange Cassidy and MJF. I personally wasn't expecting this finish, but I do think they could have a great match. And MJF is such a great person to boo, and even Orange Cassidy, like I've mentioned, he's not my favorite character or wrestler on the show, but I do find him very entertaining, and he has grown on me in these last couple of weeks, so I feel like MJF is a good person to face. Who do I want to win the match next week? Of course, MJF. I feel like he needs to have the Dynamite Diamond for another year, at least before he moves on to being some sort of a champion, because, like, my man spent a lot of 2020 not doing enough, I feel like. So that is my prediction for the match next week. I'm just applying some little glitter glue to my eyelid so the shade that I'll be applying all over can adhere a little bit better. Our next match was Frankie Kazarian versus Chris Jericho, and of course this has to do with the match from last week, which was Jake Hagar and Chris Jericho versus SCU. And the match had a screw finish at the end. We all saw what happened, honey. But Frankie Kazarian ended up attacking MJF for fucking up the finish of the match. Jericho and the rest of the inner circle didn't see it. And because of this, that led to this week's one-on-one match between Jericho and Kazarian. Now, the match was pretty good. I wouldn't say it was like amazing or anything. It wasn't extremely memorable in my opinion, but honey, besides the ending of this match, there wasn't a lot of memorable moments. Now, the ending of the match was definitely telling of what was to come for the inner circle next. In the beginning moments of the match, Chris Jericho ended up losing his belt and kicking it to the outside of the ring. And Santana, who had accompanied Jericho along with Jake Hagar to the ring for his match against Kazarian, started to try and throw the belt to Jericho, who was in the middle of the ring, obviously having a very tough time being caught up in this submission and having almost no way out. But Jericho did not take his belt. You know, he was trying to win clean because he's Chris Jericho. He can win clean. He doesn't need to cheat. You know, it's fun to do it every once in a while, but it's not a necessity. We all of a sudden see MJF and Wardlow walk out to the ring, and MJF is holding a white towel. And I was just like, he's really about to throw in the towel for Jericho and cost him the match. And I was sitting there shook because I'm like, honey, you know what that means? Like, the inner circle is not going to stay together for long. And not that I was expecting MJF and Wardlow to all of a sudden, you know, become at peace with everybody and the rest of the inner circle after that weak ass, and I'm gonna say it was weak, that weak ass Vegas trip. But I did hope for a little bit better. At least I was hoping for him to be Faker a little bit longer and for this to be like a 2021 deal, but no, we're ending the year with a bang. So MJF is holding on to this towel and he's just about to throw it in. No, should I not? And right as he's about to actually throw it all the way across the ring, Sammy Guevara comes from the back and just starts wailing on Jericho. And at that point, Wardlow is trying to push him off. And while all this craziness is going around the match, Jericho ends up finally getting to the ropes and getting out of the submission hold. And at this point, Sammy Guevara has fought off MJF and he has the towel in his hands, and Chris looks at him like, what the fuck are you doing with this towel? Like, were you really about to throw it in? So Sammy feels like shit. Match ends. Jericho ends up picking up the victory. I don't remember how because I was way too entertained by all the other fuckery that was going on outside the ring. All of the inner circle got in the ring and they were all raising each other's arms up and celebrating, and then knocked out Sammy Guevara comes up from behind MJF and starts pounding on him, and then Wardlow's trying to split him up, and then Hagar's getting in there, and Wardlow and Hagar are looking like they're about to throw down, and it's just absolute, complete 1000% chaos. And Jericho goes and grabs a mic and he tells everybody to stop it. Stop this bullshit. You know, stop all this fuckery. Like, this is ridiculous. And he is rightfully so pissed. So then Jericho makes the announcement that next week on Dynamite, the inner circle will decide whether or not they're going to split up or stay together. He gave everybody 7 days to sit down on their fucking asses and think about this shit because they can't be fighting no more. He's sick of it. They're either all gonna be together or they're gonna be apart. Ain't nobody got time for this bullshit. I was 1000% just shook. Just so shook because I thought that the inner circle would kind of be together a little bit longer and that MJF would eventually either overtake Jericho and become the leader, or that they would split up at some point during 2021. So I'm very interested to see what is going to happen next in this situation. Following this match, we had Alex Marvez interviewing the Young Bucks. And he was asking them how they feel about facing TH2 next week on Dynamite. And the Bucks said that they're the best in the world, and if the Hybrid 2 wants to be the best in the world, then they have to beat the Young Bucks. And if they beat the Young Bucks next week, then they will get a title shot opportunity. Which honestly, I feel like this little thrown together situation, feud, It's so undercooked. Like, I could care less about that. But they made that announcement, and just when I thought we were going to move on to the next match segment or whatever, here come these guys who call themselves the Acclaimed, and they announce that their names are Max and Anthony, and they do this like corny rap dissing the Young Bucks and saying that on the cover of their lame book it looks like they're checking each other's dicks out, and just it was really unnecessary, and it wasn't all that funny or entertaining, but that happened. And by the time they finished doing their lame little diss rap, whatever the fuck they were doing, the Hybrid 2 come up from behind the Young Bucks and attack them, and SCU came to save the day. So the Hybrid 2, they beat up the Bucks like to an extent, and then SCU came in with some steel chairs and saved the day. Again, don't care. The Hybrid 2, like Angelico and what's his name, Jack Evans, no, I don't like them as a tag team. I don't like them as wrestlers. I don't think that they're going to have a good match against the Young Bucks. They both have a very fast-paced, high-fly type of wrestling style, and like I've mentioned before, even though that it's not my favorite type of wrestling to watch, I do find the Young Bucks to be very good at it, and I do enjoy seeing them in matches. But the Hybrid 2, to me, they wrestle without passion, and it really shows. So I could care less about this match coming up next week. I hope the Young Bucks beat the shit out of them, because if for some reason they don't and I have to watch another match of the two of them wrestling then the week after that, I'm not gonna be happy. But, you know, that's how I feel. How do you feel? Because for me, this is a eh. Next, we had a match between Britt Baker and Layla Hirsch. Now, I believe this was Layla Hirsch's second or third match that I've seen her wrestle in AEW, and this was like Britt Baker's return of some sorts, which she already returned. Like, honestly, like, no. Just, it was stupid. It's stupid. Why do we keep saying that Britt is returning? Britt's been back. Like, what the fuck? But besides that stupidity, we had the two of them face off each other, and Layla Hirsch, so far, I do like her style. She's a little bit tough. She's still a little stiff in my opinion, but I do think she has a lot of potential. And I'm finding the way that they're portraying her character quite interesting. They're really playing off the fact that she is a very tough, athletic chick, and they're also in a weird way kind of harping a lot back to her Russian roots, even though they mentioned that she's adopted. So I don't know, but the main problem that I had with this match was not the quality of the match. It was the fact that this match took place at Winter is Coming. Out of all the matches that we could have had for a pay-per-view like show, we had this. When the week prior or the week before that week, I don't remember which one, but we had Britt attack Thunder Rosa during like one of her matches, like several times. So why didn't we have Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa at Winter is Coming? At least for the fact of like, bitch, let me kick your ass because you keep fucking up my shit. Like, you messed up my title opportunity. Like, what the fuck is that about? But no, I had to watch a match that I didn't care for between Layla and Britt. Like I said, it wasn't a bad match, but it didn't make sense or add more to the story. It didn't seem like a logical next step of, okay, we're gonna build a feud between Thunder Rosa and Britt. And another reason why I'm so salty about this whole situation in the first place is because I don't even remember, like I said, how the match ended. I think Britt might have won or some bullshit. But Thunder Rosa came in the end and beat the shit out of Britt. So much so to the point where we had a bunch of referees come from the back to separate these two women. So clearly, we're going to continue this feud between Thunder Rosa and Britt. AEW is clearly trying to bring in Thunder Rosa because she actually has reinvigorated the women's division. Like I mentioned, Thunder Rosa, I love you, girl. You my bitch. But, like, how are you just going to do her like that? Put her in a match. This woman shines on the microphone. This woman shines in matches. Why didn't we have an actual women's match that people would have cared about at Winter is Coming? That is my consistent problem with Dynamite. as of the last couple of months, and I don't know why they're not trying to fix it. It is really annoying, and I'm so frustrated. Our next match was Cody Rhodes and Darby Allin versus Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs. Now, we all know this is a continued feud between all of them because they all got beef. The match itself was... It wasn't bad, guys, but it was just okay. I guess my expectations were maybe a little bit more because this is like, what, the billionth time that they're all facing each other. But this match was just another match that wasn't bad, but it just wasn't interesting enough for me to care. Now, if you watched Winter is Coming, then you all know what came, and that was Sting. I was like, what? Like, just freaking the fuck out because this was unexpected. This was completely unexpected. Like, what the hell? Wow. So I was mostly caught up in my shock. Now, this was after the final moments of the match. Cody and Darby did end up winning, and the match ended, and then Team Taz just started fucking up Cody and Darby, which honestly, they deserve it. I am sick. Y'all know that I don't vibe that much with Darby Allin. He's just not my cup of tea. Cody Rhodes, my opinion, he's getting kind of boring, sweetie. He has not had an interesting feud with anybody like in the last couple of weeks. And I know that he's trying to transition into a different role of his career. But if he's going to continue wrestling, he needs to do something interesting and fight somebody interesting, not Team Taz all the time. I feel like maybe he is going to have a match against Taz in the future, you know, because after that whole bomb he dropped last week that he's training Taz's son Hook. So we'll see where this is going to go. But Sting didn't feel necessary. And I understand they had nowhere else to shove him on the match card for him to debut. But I'm just puzzled at the whole situation. Clearly we know that Sting is now obviously going to be around AEW for probably the remainder of his career at this point. To what capacity? I don't know. I thought after his little WWE stint, he couldn't wrestle anymore. So is he going to be in the mentor role? Like, it just didn't make sense. When he came out to the ring, he just came up to everybody and got in their face. Like, he didn't single out a single person, but everybody just stopped what they were doing and they were shook. So it was a big moment. It was an interesting moment. It was probably one of the most memorable moments of the night. Besides the ending, which we're going to discuss the ending of the show, obviously. But again, confused, and I have a lot of questions. I don't see logically where Sting is going to fit. Maybe as a mentor for Darby Allin, because, you know, they both got the whole mysterious face painted thing, but... Next, for the second week in a row, we had Alex Marbez once again working overtime, and this time he was backstage interviewing Hikaru Shida, asking her about how she feels when it comes to facing Abaddon next week. And she just said she's not scared, but she heard a noise and she looked kind of startled. I don't care, man. I don't care. Abaddon looks really interesting, and she's going to be... Well, is she going to be in the match against Hikaru Shida? No, she's not. She's actually going to be in some sort of singles match next week. I don't know when she's going to face Hikaru Shida for the title. But she did allude that she wants to face her at some point by licking the title and holding it and being creepy with it. So right now, Abaddon's the most interesting part of this whole situation. Because Hikaru Shida, girl, love ya, but you're boring. She's just like a box of good old heart-healthy Cheerios. They're good for you, but they got no flavor. Next, we had yet again another wonderful Jon Moxley promo. Like, guys, to me, Jon Moxley has really been killing it with his promos over the last couple of months. They've become very entertaining, And when it comes to him hyping me up for an event or a match or an opponent he's facing, he has definitely mastered that very, very well. And I've come to really enjoy every time he gets on the mic, whether it's in the ring or in one of these backstage pre-taped promos. And now it was finally time for our main event between the champion Jon Moxley and the challenger Kenny Omega for the AEW World Heavyweight title. Now, I was very hyped about this match from the very beginning. Ever since Full Gear, I knew Kenny was gonna win his match against Hangman at Full Gear. Like, I knew this was gonna happen. I feel like we all knew this moment was coming. However, for this particular event, I thought, or at least my initial prediction was, that there was going to be a screwball finish and neither Moxley or Omega were going to win, or Moxley was going to get disqualified. Something was going to go down that was very shifty. But when the match began tonight, I automatically knew as soon as they announced it that we were going to have a clear-cut winner, because before both of them came out to the ring, the announce team made us aware that the match will go on for a full hour, if not more. If the match doesn't end within the full hour, by the time Dynamite is over, they were going to cut into the rest of the airtime until we had a clear-cut winner, which made me nervous, but I was still hoping that Moxley was going to pull through and still remain champion. Another thing that I found interesting before the match started was the presence of Don Callis, who is the Executive Vice President of Impact Wrestling. I found it a little strange that he was present last week and this week, but his excuse for being at Dynamite this week was because Kenny wanted him to be there to witness this match and this big moment because they're such besties. So that right there already was having me feel a little uneasy, because I'm like, you're not just here for no reason whatsoever. As we've seen through the development now of the cocky Kenny character, as I like to call him, cocky with a K, this really wouldn't make sense for Don Callis to just be there without a purpose. Now, when the match started, Jon Moxley was definitely dominating the majority of the match, I would say, especially early on. He was getting things to go and be outside of the ring a lot so he can take advantage of the environment and really rough up Kenny Omega. And I feel like this was done to rub it in his face, because last week, Kenny Omega, or was it the week prior, that he did a promo on Moxley, was in the backstage interview, and he basically said that during their match, he wants Moxley to leave the trash wrestling behind and have a real wrestling match against him. So, you know, he was being petty, which honestly, I'd be petty too. Like, who wouldn't be? Like, come on, you calling me out? Well, I'm gonna fuck you up. I would say the tides in the match turned the most when Kenny Omega began targeting Moxley's knees. That, I feel like, really started changing the tone of the match, because Moxley is very physical and he uses his arms a lot, and it's like, how are you gonna strike somebody when you can't even stand on your own 2 feet? You know? So that was just good strategy altogether from Kenny Omega, and I cannot fault him from that, not one bit. Moxley did try to retain control later on in the match. He delivered a paradigm shift to Kenny Omega on the AEW Championship belt outside the ring, and he also suplexed him against these giant, like, portable heaters that they had surrounding the ring, since it was so cold outside for once, you know, in Florida. There was another interesting moment during, like, the midpoint of the match that I would say, which I thought was pretty entertaining, when Jon Moxley brought in 2 chairs into the ring, and I thought he was going to do like a concerto or get himself disqualified, but he actually ended up setting them up, and he sat Kenny up in one chair and he put himself in the other, and they just started like slapping each other. So I thought that was pretty hilarious. But in the final moments of the match, Jon Moxley really started to dominate again after those outside interactions, especially once he suplexed him against that heater on the outside. And just when I thought that he was maybe going to do another paradigm shift or some sort of other finishing maneuver, Don Callis is like running to the ring, and I'm like, the fuck you doing, dude? Like, nobody cares. But he had a microphone with him, which I found very strange, because I'm like, what do you need the microphone for? But I kind of thought that maybe he would say, like, oh, Kenny Omega quits, he can't continue. Because after the suplex that Moxley performed to Kenny Omega outside on that heater, one of the doctors came to check up on Kenny, and it seemed like maybe they were going to stop the match because he wasn't moving around much. And that shit looked like it hurt, so I was not going to be surprised. And I assumed then that's why Callis came to the ring with the microphone, because he's like, okay, you're not gonna fuck up my friend no more. I know you want to finish this match and you don't want it to end just on, oh, he can't continue, but that's fucked up. But you know how it is in wrestling. You can never trust somebody's intentions. It's just like pure and innocent. Once Callis was on the outside of the ring shouting at Kenny and like waving the microphone, he ended up throwing it into the middle of the ring. And that obviously really distracted the referee. So the referee ran to the side of the ring and he started talking to Callis like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, you're obviously not supposed to be here. And while the referee was distracted, of course, then Kenny Omega took the microphone and smacked Moxley right in between the eyes and busted him wide open. And then after that, he delivered a couple of finishers. The referee finally turned his distracted ass around, counted 1, 2, 3, and we had our new champion. Now, personally, I was shocked, but I also wasn't too shocked. Like I said, my initial prediction was a lot different. I thought Moxley was going to break the rules and we were going to have him boo and turn more heel, but that is not the case. Cocky Kenny really stood up to his character. And then, of course, Don Callis looked super happy, and both him and Kenny, before Moxley could even get up or anything else could happen, started running out of the arena and just running as fast as they can, like somebody was about to like fuck them up or, you know, was going after them. And luckily, our Alex Marvez, our boy, you know, he always working overtime. And once Alex caught up to them, he asked them, okay, like, what happened? Where are y'all going? Why are y'all running? And Callis simply said that they will find out next Tuesday. And Alex was like, dude, like, Dynamite's not on Tuesday, it's on Wednesday. And Callis was like, you're not gonna find out on Dynamite, you're going to find out why we did this on Impact. So we gonna be there. And I was just like, what? Okay. I was shocked. I was beyond shocked, and I'm still shocked because I can kind of see where they're coming from with all this cross-promotional stuff. And I know Impact is always, or at least for the last couple of years, they have been up and down and almost disintegrating and not disintegrating. So I understand this is all coming from a good place, but I am very confused and also just a little irritated that I'm going to have to go and seek out Impact next Tuesday to see what the fuck they're gonna say. I do think this is a very creative thing to do, but I'm still not too happy. I would have much rather have them had another screwball finish, Moxley be the champion till the end of the year, and then Kenny Omega and Moxley having an amazing classic match at Revolution. But I guess now we're probably going to set up the rematch at Revolution in the new year. Who knows? But that's how we ended Dynamite this week. Thank you guys so much for watching this week's episode of Makeup and Wrestling. Honestly, this has probably been the best episode so far, and I'm probably going to keep saying that until I keep getting better at this. But anyway, let me know what were your opinions. Personally, if I were to rate the show between terrible, meh, average, totally awesome, and legendary, this is just another average episode. It really wasn't too special, and the moments that were supposed to be super exciting and special weren't as special as I thought they were going to be. I am still pissed that we didn't have Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa this week, because, again, it did not make sense for Britt Baker to just wrestle Layla Hirsch just for the sake of there being a women's match and Thunder Rosa coming to interrupt it. This could have happened last week on Dynamite, or literally any other week on Dynamite, but not during this pay-per-view edition. I really, really, really want Thunder Rosa to kick Hikaru Shida's ass and take the fucking title. I'm over this lackluster situation in the women's division. I am so sick of it. They have such great talent, and to present them in such an underwhelming way where none of the women are made use to the full extent of their talent is very, very irritating to me, and I really wish it wasn't like that. We definitely need to see a change and a difference. Thunder Rosa needs to be champion. Come on. Come on, y'all. Give my girl the title already, because there's nothing else that's going to take this division more out of the dumps than Thunder Rosa being the champion and representing that title. Her going into a small-time feud with Britt Baker, okay, I don't fucking give a shit. Why is Britt Baker the only person that we see? Nothing against her, great wrestler, but why is she the only female performer that the company seems to have their focus on? That is the only part that doesn't sit too well with me for that reason, because I feel like everybody is getting excluded, and it almost seems like they're giving Britt special treatment. Maybe that is not the case, but it's definitely coming off that way, and I really want to see that changed. Moxley and Omega, that was, like I said, I was very happy with the ending because it shocked me, not because I was happy and that's what I was expecting. So I'm very interested to see how this is going to continue. Clearly we're going to have some Impact Wrestling AEW crossover, and I'm totally here for other wrestling promotions uplifting each other. I feel like in 2020, that is probably the most impactful thing AEW has done as a brand, is uplift the NWA as well as now Impact Wrestling. The more wrestling promotions we have, the better, because then there's more opportunity for a lot of talented people to go and find work. And we always want to have more job opportunities no matter the field. So I applaud AEW for that. Great job. The Dynamite Diamond singles match next week between Cassidy and MJF. I'm all for MJF. You guys know I stan him. I love him. In my head, that's my imaginary boo. But I really hope he retains the diamond. I feel like this is going to be a good thing to progress for with his character. Now, what's going to happen with him in the inner circle? Is the inner circle overall going to disintegrate and fall apart into nothingness? Maybe. Maybe. At this point, that is my only prediction, because I don't see how they're going to make it work as a cohesive team from here on out. So next week, my prediction is that they're going to... I could be surprised, though. You never know. This week was very surprising. I'll give it that. Sting speaking out next week. What the fuck is he going to say? I don't know. And honestly, I don't know if I care. He literally came out and just did nothing. We just looked at everybody. And I know that was his thing in the 90s, and for a lot of people it's nostalgic. Personally, I did not live through that era of WCW, so for me there's not a lot of nostalgia attached. I did think it was really cool that such a big name legend like him got into AEW, because it will elevate the brand. Like, it just will. We all know that. That's the whole reason why a lot of these legends have been brought to AEW, because they do give a familiar face and also credibility to them as a brand. So let me know what you guys thought of Winter is Coming. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Was it meh? Was it great? Was it amazing? What did you think of Sting coming and the result of the AEW World Title match? Are you excited for this Impact and AEW crossover? Do you think it's beneficial? I want to know. Let your girl know down below. But I will see you guys again in the next video, and I hope you're taking care and staying healthy and safe, and yeah, sending much love and positivity your way. Love you guys. Take care.